Hi there everyone, and welcome to this month's synth tutorial with Computer Music Magazine. And this month we're going to be diving straight back into our ZebraCM plugin and creating a very ubiquitous patch which we call a Tong organ. This is quite an identifiable sound which has been used plenty over the last 30 years or so, but this is also quite a current sound, as well as a sound that harks back to the dance era of the 90s. So let's get started straight away by loading up a copy of your favoured DAW and placing an instance of the ZebraCM plugin on a spare instrument channel. We need to perform an initialize before we get cracking with our sound, and to do this we go to the display, which also doubles as a drop-down menu at the top of the plugin window. At the very bottom you'll see the word init for initialize, click that and that will initialize the plugin. We also want to make a change to the overall volume of our sound before we get started, because this is going to be a relatively intense sound and we don't want to damage our equipment on playback. So going to the bottom right hand side of the plugin, you'll see that the master pot is on the bottom right hand side here, and we can reduce the value of that, so in the upper display on the plugin window we get to a value of 30. The point of origin for the sound we're creating today is a square wave, so moving to Oscillator 1, we need to put the mouse in the center of the oscillator icon, click and hold, drag the mouse upwards until we get a value of 2 in the upper display. This will also yield an icon that looks like a square wave in the center of the oscillator. Oscillator 2, on the other hand, is going to stay as its default of a sawtooth. However, we do need to turn the volume up, so we'll increase that to a value of 100 by clicking on the pot, dragging it up to about the 12 o'clock position, and you'll see the value of 100 at the display at the top. At the moment, both of these oscillators are exactly in tune with each other, so we're going to perform a slight detune, moving to the detune pot in the Oscillator 2 section, drag that down so that the upper value there is -5, and that will just be enough to detune it and thicken the texture ever so slightly. A fairly large element of interest relating to this patch emanates from the filter, so we need to change the filter, and we're going to go with something relatively contemporary for this one. So moving to the top of the drop-down menu that is available from within the filter section, we're going to select the filter called LP for low pass, Excite. Next, we need to make a number of alterations to a number of different pots within the filter section. We're going to start with the cutoff pot, which we need to set to a value of 31. Effectively, what we've done by selecting that value of 31 is setting it to a specific pitch. In turn, we're going to use the key follow pot, which is below the cutoff pot, to actually track the cutoff frequency. So in essence, we're using the filter a little bit like an oscillator. In order to make this happen, we need to increase the value of the key follow pot to its maximum of 100. Having done that, we need to resonate that point of cutoff, and we do that by increasing the resonance control to its maximum of 100 as well. When we play the sound, we should now hear a very distinctive pitch. So to accentuate that colour even further, and also provide a little bit of distortion and warmth in our filter section, we're going to increase the overdrive control that we also have within the filter. Changing the value of the drive pot, set that to a value of around about 55, and that will just introduce a little bit of distortion and colour. The final part of our patch relates to the Envelope 1 settings. Envelope 1 is linked exclusively to the volume of our sound on the ZebraCM plugin, and we want a relatively percussive effect for this. So making sure that the attack pot is all the way down at 0, we're going to change the decay pot to a value of 29. We're going to place the sustain pot at 0, and finally the release pot will be set to a value of around about 28. When we now play our sound, it should sound quite bright and percussive. Historically, these sorts of Tong organ sounds have been used as bass sounds. Sometimes it's also been deemed necessary to place another synth part 1 octave below so that it really accentuates the bottom end as well. We can mirror this kind of effect by some subtle changes on our EQ curve. So as you can see, if I open up the EQ that I've put in place here, I've made a few little adjustments so it fits in a little bit better with our drums. And finally, any bass sound is probably going to benefit from some compression. You can use any compressor you like, but we quite like the FET or the valve-based compressors that are available. This is the one that you will find within Logic. We've selected Studio FET. Or there's another real favourite that we have at the moment, which comes from SSL, which is a valve-based compressor. Obviously there's no valves in it because it's software, but it is designed to emulate the sort of sound you would get with a valve. and that will bring back a little bit of our low-end colour that may have dissipated with the building of our patch. So there you have it, there's our Tong organ for this month, and we'll see you next time.